I cherish every moment with you, even though it might not have been long. I wish you could have stayed with me, but God had other plans. I wish I could see those pretty smiles or just hold on to your hand.
On the morning of December 11, 2023, a man visited his brother's apartment complex in northwest Las Vegas to check on him. But what he found instead was a nightmare that no one could ever prepare for. Inside the apartment were 5 lifeless bodies, each bearing multiple gunshot wounds. It was a gruesome and heartbreaking scene. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department quickly responded to the 7500 block of Oso Blanco Road, near Durango Drive, where they confirmed the unimaginable truth. The victims were all members of the same family. Among them was 34-year-old mother, Shanara Patterson, and her 3 beloved children, ages 6 to 14. Also found dead at the scene was Marvin Patterson, Shanara's husband and the children's father. What should have been an ordinary Monday morning turned into a horrific tragedy. One man's selfish and irreversible act had wiped out nearly an entire family in a single night. This devastating case forces us all to pause and think about the people we allow into our lives, how well we truly know them, and whether we're listening to the instincts that sometimes try to warn us. Before diving into the painful details of this story, it's important to take a moment to honor the memory of Shanara Patterson and her children. We extend our deepest condolences to their family, friends, and the community left to grieve this unimaginable loss. Born on December 10, 1989 in Long Beach, California, Shanara Patterson, lovingly known as Nerone by her friends and family, was a warm, vibrant woman who had built her life in Las Vegas, Nevada. She was a devoted wife and the proud mother of 3 beautiful children: 14-year-old Kezia Cohn, born on October 6, 2009, 6-year-old Zemira Patterson, born on September 12, 2017, and 11-year-old Derek Jr., affectionately called DJ, born on December 6, 2012. Kezia was known as Zia, and little Zemira was lovingly nicknamed Dutai by those closest to her. Her husband, Marvin Patterson, was Shanara's second partner and the father of 2 of her children. From the outside, the Pattersons appeared to be a happy, close-knit family. They often shared joyful videos on social media, laughing, dancing, and celebrating life together. To neighbors and friends, they looked like a couple who had it all: love, stability, and a beautiful blended family. But as this tragedy would later reveal, appearances can be deceiving. Behind the smiles and family photos, there were cracks, the kind that no one on the outside could see. Shanara and Marvin Ray Patterson fell in love and got married in May 2019, in a ceremony held in Las Vegas. They even created a wedding website so that guests could RSVP and share in their joy. In the Our Love Stories section, Shanara wrote heartfelt words of gratitude, thanking God for blessing her with a partner who appreciated and loved her, someone who never belittled her and made her feel cherished. She promised she would never take Marvin for granted. At that point, Shanara's love for Marvin seemed unwavering. Their wedding day was a grand celebration, a reflection of their deep affection and hope for a bright future together. She looked radiant in her gown as her father walked her down the aisle, surrounded by loved ones who believed they were witnessing the beginning of a lasting, happy marriage. It was a day filled with laughter, music, and love, but looking back now, it stands as a haunting contrast to what was to come. No one could have predicted that the same man she once called her blessing would one day destroy everything she held dear. Sadly, just a short time after her wedding, Shanara's father passed away, leaving her mother as her only surviving parent. The loss devastated her. It was no surprise that in her grief, she turned to the man her father had trusted to take care of her husband, Marvin Patterson. In the wedding video, her father could be seen smiling, handing his daughter's hand to Marvin with faith and hope that she'd be loved and protected. Before meeting Marvin, Shanara already had 2 children from a previous relationship, but that didn't stop the couple from forming a strong and blended family. Marvin himself had been previously married and had 2 children from that union, which ended in divorce in April 2019, just 1 month before he married Shanara. Details about his former marriage remain limited, but from all outward appearances, Marvin took on his role as a stepfather with ease and seemed genuinely caring toward Shannara's kids. After some time together, the couple welcomed a baby of their own, officially becoming a family of 5. To friends and neighbors, they looked like a loving, stable family living an ordinary Las Vegas life. But unlike the city around her, known for its glittering casinos, nightlife, and endless entertainment, Shannara earned her living through hard work and talent. She was a skilled cosmetologist, specializing in hair care, braiding, and wig installation. Her clientele consisted mostly of women of color, and her clients adored her for her professionalism, warmth, and artistic skill. She was known as a successful entrepreneur, someone with a unique sense of style and confidence. From her makeup and outfits to her ever-changing hairstyles, Shannara took pride in how she presented herself. Her children mirrored her elegance, always well-dressed whether at home, at school, or in family photos. They inherited not only her charm but also her joy. Her daughter Kezia had a bright sense of humor and loved to draw, while little Zemira Patterson was remembered as a gentle, affectionate child who could light up any room she entered. By all accounts, Marvin appeared to be the ideal husband and father. There were no public records or clear indications of violent or inappropriate behavior. To those who knew them, the Pattersons seemed like a normal, happy family, the kind you'd never imagine would end up at the center of a tragedy. But behind closed doors, a much darker reality was forming, one that would soon destroy everything Shannara had built. Before we continue, a quick note. We share true crime stories and real-life cases every week. If these stories interest you, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue uncovering and telling the stories that matter most. The dark side of Marvin Patterson began to emerge in October 2022, when he was arrested for multiple felony charges involving children. According to the Clark County District Court, Marvin faced 9 serious charges, including 5 counts of sexual assault with a minor under 14, 2 counts of lewdness with a minor under 16, 1 count of lewd conduct, and 1 count of first-degree kidnapping. The alleged crimes were said to have occurred between 2013 and 2022, making the case both extensive and deeply disturbing. The accusations gained public attention not only because of their seriousness but also because Marvin was living with a 14-year-old stepdaughter at the time. Investigators later discovered that some of the alleged victims had lived in the same apartment Marvin shared with Shannara and her children. The revelations were horrifying, painting a completely different picture of the man who had once seemed like a devoted husband and father. Marvin was quickly arrested and jailed. His bail was initially set at $100,000 by a substitute judge, with strict conditions. He had to surrender his passport, wear an electronic ankle monitor, and avoid contact with any minors under 18. These measures were designed to protect the public and ensure he appeared in court. However, Marvin's defense attorney, Brett Whipple, soon filed a motion asking the court to lower the bail, arguing that the original amount was unaffordable. On December 15, 2022, the defense claimed Marvin was not a flight risk since he had surrendered his passport and had never missed a court date. His lawyer also argued that the kidnapping charge lacked strong supporting evidence and that the state's case was weak. Several witnesses testified during the hearing, and the judge ultimately agreed to reduce the bail to $10,000, though Marvin was still required to wear an ankle monitor and have no contact with minors, including his own stepdaughter. After paying the reduced bail, Marvin was released under house arrest. But because of the restrictions, he was required to live separately from his family. To his relatives and even to Shannara, Marvin continued to insist that he was innocent, a man wrongfully accused of crimes he didn't commit. Only a few months later, everything began to unravel. Marvin struggled with the financial pressure of maintaining his life under house arrest, while Shannara faced increasing hardships trying to care for their children alone. In 2023, the average cost of renting an apartment in Las Vegas ranged from $1,100 to $1,400 per month, depending on the neighborhood, a heavy burden for a single mother trying to make ends meet. By November 2023, after being evicted from her temporary home, Shannara made the fateful decision to move back in with Marvin, believing he was innocent and that he would never harm their children. She thought the family could rebuild, that love, faith, and understanding could overcome the storm that had taken over their lives. But that trust would prove to be fatal. On December 11, 2023, just one day after Shannara's 34th birthday, tragedy struck. That morning, Marvin's brother, Jason, made a desperate, panicked call to police, a call that would lead officers to one of the most horrific crime scenes Las Vegas had seen in years. The night before the tragedy, Marvin had confided in his brother that his life was falling apart. He mentioned facing eviction from his apartment and the repossession of his car, sounding defeated and overwhelmed. His brother Jason didn't think much of it at first. He believed Marvin just needed space and time to sort things out. But the next morning, when Jason decided to check on him at his apartment, he walked into a nightmare that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Inside Marvin's home lay a gruesome and heartbreaking scene. The bloody bodies of Shanara, their daughters Zemira and Kezia, and Marvin himself. It was immediately clear that Marvin had shot his wife and children before turning the gun on himself. Amid the chaos and horror, Jason noticed something, a faint movement, a shallow breath. Only 11-year-old DJ was still alive. Fighting through panic and disbelief, Jason dialed 911, his voice shaking as he begged for help.
They're all gone. I need the police. I don't know who it is to come.
You need police or medical?
I need medical. I hear one of the kids, they're breathing. They're trying to breathe.
He pleaded for an ambulance and medical aid to save his nephew's life. When paramedics and police arrived, they confirmed the worst. Shanara and her daughters were pronounced dead at the scene, their lives cut short by the very man who was supposed to protect them. DJ, barely clinging to life, was rushed to University Medical Center, UMC, in critical condition. Against all odds, he survived, but his survival came at an unimaginable cost. The physical injuries were severe, but the emotional and psychological scars ran even deeper. For DJ and everyone who loved the Patterson family, life would never be the same again. This tragedy left the community reeling, struggling to understand how such a horrific act could have happened, and more importantly, why it wasn't prevented. People began asking hard questions. Why wasn't Marvin kept in jail? What pushed him over the edge? Did anyone truly know the kind of man he was? Those close to the family believed Marvin had been showing signs of depression, despair, and deep frustration in the weeks before the murder. He seemed to be losing control. His financial troubles, legal battles, and public humiliation may have driven him into a dark mental state. Yet no one imagined he could turn his pain into something so monstrous. In the aftermath, friends, relatives, and activists voiced their outrage. Many argued that Marvin should never have been released after his initial arrest on serious child abuse and assault charges. Some said that if the judge hadn't lowered his bail from $100,000 to $10,000, this tragedy might never have happened. The decision to free him, they claimed, wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a fatal mistake that cost innocent lives. Among those who spoke out was Jasmine Lee, founder of a nonprofit organization that supports families of murdered people of color.
We need to sit down and we need to have a conversation. We need to talk with Metro. We need to talk with the individuals that are working in the judicial system. We need to hold this judge accountable and understand why she did what she did and how do we make sure that that does not happen again.
She expressed deep anger and disbelief at how Marvin was allowed to walk free despite the gravity of his charges. Calling his release a slap in the face to the victims, she demanded accountability from the justice system. Lee questioned why someone accused of such serious crimes was permitted to return home, where he still had access to children, including his own. Marvin's assault trial was set for April 2024, but instead of facing justice, he chose to end his life and take his family with him in December 2023. In one horrifying act, he destroyed everything, sparing no one, not even his biological daughter. His decision left behind only questions, pain, and a shattered community trying to comprehend the depth of his darkness. The funeral for Shanara Patterson and her two daughters was a moment of immense grief and unity for the Las Vegas community. Hundreds gathered at a local chapel, their faces heavy with sorrow as they came together to honor the lives that had been stolen too soon. The atmosphere was thick with emotion, tears, silence, and the quiet sobs of those who loved them most. Friends, neighbors, and family members filled the chapel, sharing heartfelt tributes and memories. They spoke about Shanara's warmth, her kindness, and her generosity. She had been the type of woman who made everyone feel seen, a mother who radiated love and compassion, whose laughter once filled the very home that had now become a crime scene. Those who knew her described her as sweet, selfless, and full of life. Her children reflected that same spirit, playful, joyful, and deeply loved by all who knew them. Their loss left a hole that words could never fill. As the service came to a close, Shanara's mother, Jamesetta Burnau, stood before the mourners to deliver an emotional and tearful eulogy. Her trembling voice echoed through the chapel as she spoke of her daughter's strength, her faith, and her love for her children. Her words captured the anguish of a mother who had lost not just one child, but 3 generations of her heart in one single senseless act. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. The service ended with prayers, songs, and silent embraces, a collective grief that bound the community together. Though their lives were taken far too soon, the memory of Shinera, Kezia, and Zemira continues to live on in the hearts of those who loved them, a painful reminder of the cost of ignoring the warning signs and the dire need for justice reform. She stood before the mourners, her voice trembling yet filled with grace.
I cherished every moment with you, even though it might have been wrong. I wish you could have stayed with me, but God had other plans. I wish I can see those pretty smiles or just hold on to your hands. I had died for 14 years, just as goofy as can be, and duty just for 6, my little sweet, sweet twin babies. Just know that I adored you both, but heaven needed your pretty soul. So get your wings and fly away. I'll meet you at the heaven gate. A piece of my heart left with my dad. This one crushed my soul. Never in a million years I thought it hit so close to home. I gained 3 angels in one night. I feel empty, I feel numb, I feel alone. Just promise you'll stay with me and guide me through this storm. I love you all so dearly, and I'll keep your names alive. I love you, my 3 favorite people. Won't live nearer, duty and die.
Jamesetta Bernady, Shinera Patterson's mother, expressed her profound disbelief over the unimaginable loss of her daughter and grandchildren. Through her tears, she spoke of Shinara's gentle spirit, a woman whose kindness, warmth, and laughter could brighten even the darkest of days. Her words painted a picture of a loving mother, a devoted friend, and a soul who had so much more life left to live. She also reflected on the bright futures of her grandchildren, futures that were stolen far too soon. The weight of her grief was compounded by the haunting belief that this heartache could have been prevented if Marvin had remained behind bars. Her emotional eulogy not only captured the depth of a mother's pain but also served as a powerful reminder of how fragile life truly is, urging everyone to reflect on the chain of failures that led to such a devastating loss. To help the family through their darkest days, Isaiah Robinson, a local food truck owner and close family friend, stepped forward to organize a fundraiser. His goal was simple yet profound: to ensure the children received the dignity of a proper farewell. His compassion inspired many within the Las Vegas community to contribute whatever they could. Jamesetta and other family members later released a public statement expressing their heartfelt gratitude for the overwhelming love and generosity shown by strangers and friends alike. They spoke of how deeply touched they were by the outpouring of support that came from people who had never even met Shinera but were moved by her story. In addition, Derek Cox, a relative of the family, launched a GoFundMe campaign to help cover funeral costs and to support young Derek DJ Patterson's ongoing medical treatment and therapy. Out of a $100,000 goal, only $5,199 had been raised by the time of this report, a stark reminder of the family's continuing struggle and need for help. In the wake of this devastating loss, the Patterson family is now facing a long and painful journey toward healing. Their grief, though overwhelming, is made a little more bearable by the kindness and solidarity of their community. Friends, neighbors, and extended family gathered not just to mourn, but to remind the Pattersons that they are not alone, that even in the aftermath of such horror, love and compassion can still bring light. As the days move forward, their primary concern shifts toward Derek's recovery. The young boy, who miraculously survived the shooting, faces not only physical challenges but deep emotional wounds that will take years to heal. The family now must navigate a life forever changed, one marked by grief, betrayal, and the haunting memory of the man they once trusted. This betrayal, the fact that Marvin, a husband and father, could turn on his own family, is what makes this tragedy especially gut-wrenching. It raises difficult questions that extend far beyond one household. How could such warning signs have been overlooked? Could this have been prevented if Marvin's bail had not been reduced to $10,000? If it had remained at $100,000, would this family still be alive today? The case of Marvin Patterson forces society to confront uncomfortable truths about mental health, the justice system, and how easily desperation and untreated pain can turn into violence. Was Marvin consumed by financial stress, hidden depression, or something darker that no one saw coming? These are the questions haunting everyone who hears this story. And yet, within this heartbreak lies a glimmer of hope. Against all odds, Derek survived. His strength, his will to live, stands as a powerful symbol of resilience, a small spark of light in a story consumed by darkness. The community's response, their unity, their compassion, also reminds us of the power of human connection in times of despair. This tragedy has not only exposed the depths of one man's cruelty but also revealed the strength that emerges when people come together to support one another. As we reflect on the life and legacy of Shanera Patterson and her children, let us remember the importance of empathy, awareness, and action. Their story serves as a sobering reminder of how fragile family bonds can be and how crucial it is to look out for one another before tragedy strikes. If this story moved you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing meaningful stories like this, stories that not only honor the victims but also challenge us to create a safer, more compassionate world.